Hi Facebook, it's Michelle here with Which Way Magazine. Today we have Mabon coming up this weekend, and so I'm going to share with you two simple recipes just to easily add into whatever it is that you're already planning to be doing. I'll wait a couple minutes while I wait for people to show up. Hot! I made some Tulsi tea just now. Super excited, but I made it too hot, so it's gonna burn my tongue. And as we start, I have been a little, I'm really, hey Kayla, I'm really busy this week, today and tomorrow especially, and it's leaving me feeling, hi Reiki and Melissa, it's leaving me feeling just a little scattered and not stressed, just maybe a little overwhelmed. So I thought before we got going, since intention and energy is everything, I'm just going to kind of clear the energy of the room. I'm going to do that in a really simple way, just using a bay leaf. And I'm going to write gratitude on one side and peace on the other. These are the feelings that I really want to infuse what I'm making today with. So, hi Shell. So once you've done that, you've probably seen this, done this before. Hi Tanya. So after you write it, I'm just going to put it in my left hand and really set that intention of peace and gratitude. And then we burn it. Hey Kiki! It's also fun to burn bay leaves because it's like nature's little sparkler. And you can really change the energy in a room by doing this process. Try not to burn yourselves. Fortunately, I've got my sink right over here, which I'm going to toss it into in a moment. There we go. Don't we all feel better now? I know I do. All right, so Mabon is Friday. Now, if you've never celebrated Mabon, or if you have, it doesn't really matter if this is going to be your first one. It is Kiki. I have to give you, Kiki, if you have not read her book, 8 Extraordinary Days, like pause this, go over to, it's on Amazon, right, Keeks, and buy it and read it because it's a life-changing book. I don't care if you've been practicing as a witch for 5 minutes or 50 years. The book is amazing. And in that book, she walked me to this beautiful epiphany about Thanksgiving. Hi, Lori. You're so sweet. And what it was is that Mabon is the witch's Thanksgiving, right? And it makes sense. It's the second harvest. It's possibly the most abundant harvest if you think back to agriculturally centered cultures. And it just rings so true. This is the time when so many of us we come alive, right? Like we call it the season of the witch, and there's a reason for that. The whole year is beautiful and the whole cycle of the year is amazing, but this is our time. So I am forsaking Thanksgiving, the traditional American Thanksgiving this year, which has never felt right to me, especially being part Native myself. Even as a kid, I was like, there's something wrong with this. And as time has gone on and we've learned so much more about what was actually happening at that time, I am over it. I'm not doing it anymore. Over the last few years, I had tried to kind of morph the Thanksgiving theme in my family to just a general month of gratitude. But I am just going to eschew all things to do with traditional American Thanksgiving. So we have Mabon. So this is going to be our big harvest feast. However, it's also, I live in Southern California where it's real hot most of the time, although today we are having some lovely autumnal weather. And so I don't want to do the whole turkey and mashed potatoes and all that. It's just too hot. At this point, I'll save that for solstice, and maybe we can do a little Facebook Live that day for this. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do a really yummy quick bread and an herbed butter. I decided not to do a main because there's so many different, people are vegan or vegetarian or paleo and all that stuff. So I will be serving it with a beautiful autumn inspired salad with roasted butternut squash and toasted pecans and chicken and lovely, yummy local greens. Also, you could, this bread and butter is really good if you're doing stew. As it happens, I have a stew going right now for tonight since I'm gonna have this fresh bread. So, enough of my chatter. Let's get down to the cooking. All right, we're gonna start with the bread recipe. So, you're gonna need a really big mixing bowl. And either, if you have a sifter, that's gonna come in really handy. But if you don't have a sifter, if you just have a little strainer, like a finely, what would it be? Why can't I think of the word, guys? Like a finely gauged strainer. So, and for this recipe, I'm gonna give you the ingredients right now if you wanna write them down. So you're gonna need 3 cups of organic flour, whatever kind of flour you want. If you're gluten-free, you could do it that way. I'm using King Arthur. Flour just shot out of it and went into my tea. Womp womp. Okay, anyway. I'm using King Arthur's 100% organic all-purpose flour. I've made this with a whole wheat flour. It doesn't really matter, but I would, thanks Margo. Okay, I would suggest really putting thought into what you choose, especially, I mean, for Mabon and for the celebration of abundance and the gratitude and all the beautiful energy you want to put into this bread. Be thoughtful, go organic. I'm not going to say make your own flour because that's unrealistic. And really, the reason I'm making a quick bread is to make this process really accessible to those of you who are, you're working, or maybe you're not bakers. I'm not a baker. Anyway, I digress. 3 cups of organic flour, 2.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1¼ cups melted butter, 12 ounces of beer of your choice. I like to use Guinness, a sprig or 2 of rosemary, and then ½ cup of Parmesan cheese. What's going on? Oh, Nessa, you can come back and see us later. As you guys know, this video will be up here on Facebook for 48 hours. So you can always come back and make your notes or write comments or ask questions if you want to. And after that, it goes into the subscribers vault on the website. So if you subscribe to the magazine, why would you not subscribe to such an amazing magazine? You can watch this over and over and over to your heart's content. Okay, so I just realized I did not get my baking soda out, which is kind of a problem. So give me 1 second, kids. And I'm coming back, guys, I swear. I'm coming. That's my kitchen. Isn't it pretty? Not really, huh? Okay, here I am. I'm ready. Okay, so the first thing I like to do with flour, like I said, is sift it out. Wait, Nicole, what do you want me to repeat? I can repeat anything. I don't know what it is, though. Okay. It is a little devastating, you're right. It's okay. Mostly it just dusted the cup. Oh, yes. Chico, come here, baby. You want to say hi? Somebody just, hang on. Come here, baby. You guys want to meet Chico? I'm dog sitting. And he is the sweetest little baby dog you've ever seen. Say hi, Chico. Doesn't he look like a teddy bear? Hello, baby. Yes, Chico, meet the people. People meet Chico. Okay. Now, I'm going to wash my hands. And while I do that, somebody wants me to repeat the measurements. It is 3 cups of flour, preferably organic. And then 2.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of melted butter, 12 ounces of beer of your choice. I prefer Guinness, a sprig or 2 of rosemary, and 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. Okay, so I'm just going to measure out my flour. Now here's the, if you are a baker, I'm probably going to make you really cringe as I do this because I am not a measuring perfectionist. I'm much more of a cook than I am a baker. So that's the first 1 cup. And then when I do it, I just like to sift it out to get it all nice and separated. My mama taught me to do this. I actually don't know if it's necessary or not anymore with modern stuff, but Okay, so that's 1 cup. La 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 la. 2 cups. Let's just throw the third one in. Let's be crazy. 3 cups, roughly. And just see, doesn't that make bakers nuts? I know. Baking is such a precise thing, and it's not for me. Okay, so then we're shifting. By the way, as I'm doing this, if you guys want to share maybe what you're going to be making for Mabon or any questions you might have, I love how you all always help each other when we do these little Facebook Lives. Okay, so let me I haven't made this in a year, so I need my little notes. Okay, so we're gonna, first you sift out the flour, and then we're gonna add in our baking soda and our salt. So that is 2.5 teaspoons of baking soda. And make sure you're using a teaspoon and not a tablespoon, because I have made that, wait, that's 1, hang on, 2.5. I've made that mistake and it's not good. Megan, what's up? I wish I could get my family on board with celebrating Mabon in place of Thanksgiving. You know what, girl? Just do it. I didn't really give my family a choice. I just said, I'm doing this and this is, and they just, what are they going to do? I'm the only one who cooks. It is like a beer bread. It's a quick bread. And so what we're doing is we're using the beer to kind of give the bread a little bit of rise. So now we need our salt, which is 1 teaspoon of salt. I like to use, you could, again, when you're picking your ingredients, be thoughtful. This is a Himalayan fine pink sea salt. A sea salt, just don't, there are those kind of icky chemically salts out there these days. And I don't think that's the energy that you would want to put into something this special, you know? Okay, and then we're gonna sift that in. And then I do an extra step. So I just take a whisk and I whisk all my dry ingredients so that they're nicely incorporated before we start adding other stuff. Okay, so next is the butter. And do you guys want to see this a little bit better? Next is going to be the butter and the beer. Yeah. So I already measured everything out because I wanted to be like those fancy cooking shows where you see where they have everything in lovely little ramekins. I don't have that. I have a disaster happening here, but you can't tell. So in goes the butter. And next goes the beer. Let's just make sure that this, uh-oh, I did open it. Man, I barely opened it because I put some in my stew earlier. Because if you're making beef stew and you're not putting Guinness in it, I'm just saying you're living your life wrong. Okay, so let's just test. Oh God, I love Guinness. Okay, so we're gonna pour it in. I cannot wait. I'm going to England in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks now, and I cannot wait for all of the yummy British beers and to sit in an actual pub. I'm so excited. Okay, so you're gonna mix it in. And eventually, I will probably wind up using my hands because I always do. Okay, we're gonna give that a second to come together. And now what we're gonna do is prepare some rosemary. So I'm just gonna take 2 medium-sized sprigs, and I'm just going to quickly strip the leaves off the stem. Now you can leave the leaves kind of whole like this if you want, or you can chop them a bit. I am going to chop them only because, oh, thanks Ricky. It's from, I think it was from IKEA, and I don't think it was meant for silverware, but it works for me. I'm just gonna give them a really quick, you can't see because of this bowl, huh? I'm just gonna give them a really quick rough chop. 1, to loosen up some of the essential oils that are in there, and 2, because when my family finds leaves in their food, they get grumpy, whatever that's about. Okay, so there's that, and then we're gonna toss in also half a cup of Parmesan. And I'm just using like a pre-done Parmesan cheese from Whole Foods. I would rather use that yummy shaved with the bigger chunks, but they didn't have it, so I'm working with what I've got. Okay, so does anybody have any questions so far as we're going? Thank you, Bethany. I appreciate it. I love doing these videos. They really, I enjoy interacting with everybody and sharing the little bits of things that I know. So, okay, so now this needs to sit for 5 minutes. I'm just going to put it over here, and we're going to go on to our second little makey. Oh, Tulsi tea. So good for the nervous system and calming. It's wonderful. So the second thing we're going to make is going to be an herbed butter. And originally, I was actually going to show you how to make butter, which is very easy. If you have heavy cream and a blender, it's super easy. Hang on. Oh my gosh, Candy. Yeah, go take care of you. This will be here for 2 days. No problem. Thank you. You like my shirt, Tony? I like this shirt too. Okay, so doing an herbed butter is super simple. And what I'm going to do today is we're going to do a rosemary shallot butter. So I like, this is a butter that I really like, Kerrygold. It's like grass-fed cows and all the good stuff. So putting that intention in, spending a couple extra dollars if you have it to spend is great. But you know what? If you don't, then don't sweat it, babes. Like, work with what you have. Everything is about intention. Can I tell us a bit about Mabon? I sure can. So Mabon is really, it's one name. Kiki, you probably know all of the other names. And I can't, they're escaping my head right now, but it's the second harvest. So if you were living, you know, even 100 years ago, but more like 200, 300, 400, 500 years ago, this time of year was super important, right? Like your life revolved around the seasons. It revolved around the weather. It revolved around agriculture, whether or not you had food. Oh, Kiki's driving. So you would be harvesting, you would be reaping what you've sown all year. It is a time for gratitude for all of the bounty that's in your life. It's a time for acceptance and generosity. So it's just a really beautiful time of year. And I think in modern life, it's a time to slow down. It's a time to gather. So, and back to this real fast. I'm just going to chop this up. So I did about 2 sprigs. And when you're doing the butter, you actually want to get it pretty finely chopped because butter should be creamy. Megan, I have a container of shaved Parmesan that is not getting, yeah, oh, that would be awesome. Just send it on over, no problem. Okay. And so we're chopping and chopping. For me, this is where, not all, but this is where I feel a lot of my magic. I'm just a kitchen witch for the most part. So I use the same tools for magic that I do for cooking, generally speaking. And a lot of what I do is either nourishing or healing my family and the people that I love from things that I make in my kitchen. So this is my magic that you're watching right now. Okay, so we're going to scoop it up. And unfortunately, I wanted to use my rosemary for this particular recipe, but unfortunately, the spider mites that have come into my garden had other ideas. Stop it, Stephanie. You're so sweet. Now, I'm using shallots, which I love. If you're not familiar with them, they're like if an onion and a garlic had a love child, it would be shallots. It's really aromatic. It's not quite as aggressive a flavor as garlic, although I like that. Not everybody does. And raw shallot it's a little strong, but I like it a lot. So we got to get all this little outside peely bits off. Tony is a kitchen witch too. I have never actually come across a male kitchen witch. I'm assuming you're male with the name Tony. I hope I didn't mess that up. I think that's so cool. And thank you, Scarlet Rose. I enjoy a good chop. Oh, your sister's dog marks your roast. That's a problem. You probably don't want to eat that. So again, you want to get this really fine. And take out any little bits of peel that find their way back in, because Lord knows they sure want to. It's probably because I'm not paying much attention because I want to talk to you. Nicole, I used Kerrygold butter, but you could make your own butter if you wanted to. If you have, getting it as close to homemade is always best. I just wouldn't use like, I don't know, I haven't even bought regular traditional stuff in so long, but whatever you have access to is just fine. But if you have access to something, you know, made with, that's organic or has grass-fed happy cows, things like that, it's just going to change kind of the energy of the ingredients you're putting in. Okay, so now it's almost smush, so I'm going to put it in. I'm making this one a little bit strong. I'm not sure that the whole family's going to love it, but I am excited. I need another spoon, or maybe we'll use a big old fork. Okay, so everything's in here. And we're just gonna mix it in. You wanna make sure it's all really incorporated so that there's a little bit of flavor everywhere. Oh, smell, yeah, this does smell pretty fantastic. Once you've done, if you made homemade butter by any chance, I would encourage you to put just maybe 1/4 teaspoon of lemon into it. It kind of, it helps with the little zing factor. And make sure if you're doing homemade butter, which is really just heavy cream, put it into your food processor, whip it until it separates, which by the way is called buttercum. If you didn't know that, I learned it a couple years ago. There's this moment, and this would have been from when they were doing it in churns. There's this moment when the butter, you can hear like a slosh, like a big swoosh, and it's when the fats all solidify and then the buttermilk separates, and then it starts to, it's two very different things. That is called buttercum. Just a little tidbit. You guys know I love tidbits. Anyway, if you do that, you want to make sure that you squeeze out all of the liquid from your butter, or else it will turn rancid really fast in my experience. Okay, so then we're all incorporated. And all I'll do with this now is I'll put it into a little container. If you have a butter press, my mom had those when I was growing up, but I don't have one. You could put it into a butter press to give it a pretty design, but I'm just going to put it into an airtight glass container and put it in the fridge to set. So now we're going to go back to our bread. Hello, bread. It's looking pretty gooey and stewy. Okay. So what we want to do now is take a little bit of flour, sprinkle it onto your cutting board. This is just so it doesn't stick, so you don't need a whole lot. And we are going to, it's also not a bad idea, I wasn't thinking, to put a little flour on your hands too so they don't stick. You're going to heat your oven for this for 375. So 375 in the old oven. Go ahead and turn this out onto your board. It's going to be sticky. This is not like a normal bread. This is going to be gooey and sticky. And if you've never had quick bread, when it cooks, it's kind of crumbly. It's not going to slice like normal bread. But the cool thing is you can see it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to make it. It takes about 50 to 60 minutes to bake it and 20 minutes to rest. So it's way faster experience than most bread. Okay, I'm just going to sprinkle a little, try and get it into a little bit of a loafy shape. I like to do it in a circle for this one. And then I'm just going to put it, you can put it in a dish, but I think that it cooks better when it has a lot of exposed space because it's really wet. So you put it on your pan, thusly, push it in to whatever shape you want. And it's not a bad idea to score the top. Okay, let me just rinse off my hands. What do we say? I used to own an antique shop and have many. Oh, you have butter molds? How cool is that? You don't have to gift me anything. I mean, if you wanted to, it's fine. But okay. So you can see it's kind of flat. It's just in a loaf shape. I'm just going to do a quick X on the top. And then it's going to go into the oven. So 375 degrees for 50 to 60 minutes, depending on how hot your stove is. For me, it's going to take about 55. And you want to make sure to let this rest for 20 minutes afterwards before you eat it. And that's it. And then you can slather your yummy butter on it. You can eat it with a stew. You can eat it by itself. You can eat it with cheese, but do a soft cheese because this is a real crumbly bread, like I said. Abby, you know what? I probably could. I'll come back into the comments later on and I will put the recipe in there for you guys to make it a little bit easier. Now, I also wanted to share just 2 more quick, easy things that you can do for Mabon. I did not spray my foil, Nicole. It's a nonstick. So I love to give presents. If you're in my life and you know me, you know I love giving gifts. Oh, thanks. Dawn, Tony, thank you so much. Dawn, this is a rosemary, and what else did I put in it, guys? I just put rosemary Parmesan cheese quick bread. And hi, Lillian and Marilee. Thank you for liking my mug. Okay. Back to gifts. I love to give gifts, and I love to give handmade gifts. And Mabon is not a traditional gift-giving holiday, but to me, all days are gift-giving days. So 2 really quick things that you can make. This, you may have seen me sharing this on Instagram recently. This is a blessing salt that I made. So I think I've shared before my protection salt that I make. This one is for blessings. So for this time of year, I think it's so important to be grateful for what's in our lives. So this is a really coarse sea salt. And I used, what did I use? I used basil and tulsi that I had in my garden. I just had an abundance of them. And I think, did I throw in anything? I'm trying to look at the garden to see if I threw anything else in there. I think that's all I put in there. So, what you want to do is you want to use about 1 cup of fresh herbs to 3 cups of coarse sea salt. And you just chop the herbs, I put out about half a cup of salt with the herbs as I chop them. And you want to chop them into almost mush because they're super, super wet. And, oh, I think that's Kiki sharing all the different names. Thank you for Mabon. So you're going to chop the herbs up until they're just absolute mush. And then you're going to add in a little bit of salt and chop some more to incorporate it, and keep slowly adding the salt in until you have all of the salt mixed in. And so in this, you probably can't tell from here, but the salt has actually turned a little bit green. And so this can be a salt of blessings as you have people coming into your home to celebrate Mabon, or even if you do Thanksgiving or over the holidays. We're going into a time of year when we have lots and lots and lots and lots of people entering and exiting our homes. So I like to sprinkle this across my threshold as a blessing to everybody who comes into my home. Now here's the bonus about this one. Unlike my protection black salt, this can be eaten. So you can also use it as a finishing salt on any of your dishes and give an additional blessing of abundance and love and prosperity to everybody that you're feeding. Okay, now the last thing I wanted to share are smudge bundles. Kiki actually showed everybody how to make bundles. How long ago was that? Maybe a month or 2 months ago. So this one is, I made a handful of these. And it's just, again, it's things from my garden. And it's not, I guess, oh, yay, Hannah, hi. For me, now there are, of course, all kinds of, magical correspondences to different herbs and different kinds of energies they're going to bring. But the way that I work is generally, if something's calling to me, then that's something that I need to be incorporating into my magics. So this one has a lot of lemon balm in it, and it also has holy basil. I think there's oregano in there. There's rosemary in there. There's all kinds. It's just stuff that I picked from my garden, and you just bundle it up. If you are a subscriber, you can probably go back to Kiki's video from a while ago showing you how to make bundles. So those are two really easy gifts that you can make if you want to give some Mabon blessings to people in your lives. I love giving presents. And I believe that is all that I have for today. Unless anybody has questions, I'm always here for questions. And I will be, I'll come back. I'll try and do it now, but I might get sidetracked cleaning the kitchen. I will come back and put the recipe in the comments section for you guys so that you have it. And I think that's it. It's been a pleasure being with you guys. You know, I love spending time with you. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments or you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Glitter in the Dirt. I'm always available if you need anything. No, Kiki, you're the best. Okay, that got weird, huh? I got really excited. Okay. Everybody be well. Enjoy your Mabon. Be happy, be well. Spread love and abundance and kindness. And I send you all love and light and laughter. Have a great day. Bye.